let's take a look at some of the assignment questions. To get the function y equals f of 2x minus 4 minus 1, we can think of some of these sequences of transformation. For example, I can start with f of y equals f of x, and then I replace that x with 2x, so I get y equals f of 2x. And then I continue to do the replacement. I circling this x, replace that with x minus 2. Some of you may be thinking, why don't I do minus 4? Because notice that the factor 2 is multiplied with this x. So if I do minus 4, then I'm going to get 2x minus 8 instead of minus 4. Okay, let's see. If I replace it with x minus 2, then I will get f of equals 2x minus 4 after the expansion. Okay, and then the last step I need to do replacing y with y plus 1, right? Circling this little y here, so that 1 will get moved to the right side. It becomes negative 1. Okay. So that's a sequence of construction. Alternatively, we can use this color. F of x. Instead of applying the horizontal scaling, I can do translation first. So that is to replace this x by x minus 4. So I have y equals f of x minus 4. And then the second step, I will circle this little x and replace it with 2x. So I get y equals f of 2x minus 4. And then last step is the same as the previous step, circling this little y, replace it with y plus 1. So we have y equals f of 2x minus 4 minus 1. Okay, so these are two different sequences of construction. I then can work on my graph based on either of this. For example, using the blue sequence, I do the compression first, replacing x with 2x. Some of you might be confused why this is a compression. So let me demonstrate a little bit more before doing so. Use this color. In the note, it says replace. It says replace x with 1 over bx. And according to what the value of b is, to determine if it's compression or stretched. Right? So 1 over bx is equal to 2x, which means that b is equal to 1 over 2 if you match it this way. Okay, so b equals 1 over 2 means that it's a compression. So that's how we match what we do here with what is written in the notes. Okay, now let's take a look at this sequence. Do the compression horizontally. So this 2, x equal to 2, is supposed to become x equal to 1. Right? So that's horizontal compression. And then the second step, with placing x with x minus 2, we shift to the right by 2 units. Finishing this step. And then we're going to do down 1, replacing y with y plus 1, down 1. Okay, we're going to do the submit for this one. And then I also want to show you the second sequence, which will give you the same resulting graph. So before submitting, let me do this one. And then we start over, okay? Remember the shape of this, we're supposed to end up getting the same shape by using the second method, the red sequence. Okay, we move to the right side by 4 units because we replace x with x minus 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then replacing x with 2x, that is the horizontal compression. So the horizontal compression for this graph is a little bit complicated because you are supposed to compress all the x coordinate of all these sample points. So for example, this sample point is gonna get moved to this point, right? 4 becomes 2. And this point 2, 4 is supposed to go to 1, 4. And last but not least, this point 6, 6, 4 supposed to get shifted to 3, 4. Okay, keep that in mind. We're gonna do it. 6, 4, 4, 0 get moved to 2, 0, and this point 6, 4 will get moved to 3, 4. So that's like this. And then we shift down by 1 unit. Okay, so that's the exact same graph we had by using the first sequence. And then let's hit the submit button. Okay, exactly. Continue. This one. We're gonna also do it using 2 different sequences, and then you guys can compare and see the difference. Firstly, I can consider starting with y equals f of x, and then I introduce that -4 by replacing x with x minus 4. So I have f of x minus 4. And then I want to introduce this negative sign by replacing y with -y. So circle this, replace with -y. -y equals f of x minus 4. So that will give you y equals negative f of x minus 4. Next, I need to get this -2 by replacing the y with y plus 2. So y plus 2 equals negative f of x minus 4. And then bring the 2 to the other side, so that gives you y equals negative f of x minus 4 minus 2. So that's how we construct the first sequence to match the resulting function. Before we work on the graph, let's take a look at an alternative sequence. Starting with y equals f of x, we're going to do the same step for the first step to have y equals f of x minus 4. And then instead of applying reflection, replacing y with -y, we're going to do translation first. So we're going to replace y with y minus 2. So we have y minus 2 equals f of x minus 4. This may not look very intuitive to start with, but it will show why it makes sense later. Okay, so we have y equals f of x minus 4 plus 2 by moving -2 to the other side. And the last step, we're going to consider reflection by replacing y with -y. So we have -y equals f of x minus 4 plus 2. And then we multiply both sides by -1 to get rid of the negative sign on the left side. So y equals negative of f of x minus 4 and also -2. Okay, so we can see that we now have the same resulting function by doing these two sequences. I just forgot to have an arrow for the first sequence. This is a replacement. Okay, each arrow is corresponding to one transformation. Okay, let's work on the graph by using the red sequence. Move to the right side by 4 units. Okay, and then we will do reflection, right? Reflecting with respect to the x-axis. So this point will get flipped to here, 6, -2. And then the last step is down 2, so down 2, like this. Okay, so that is the resulting graph. Before we hit the submit button, let's verify that the blue sequence also gives you the same resulting graph. Now we start over. Remember the shape of this graph. Okay, start over. The first step is the same, moving to the right by 4 units. And then we do translation, replacing y with y minus 2. That is up to, okay, up to. And then the last step is going to be reflection over the x-axis. So the reflection here is a little more complicated because you have 2 different sample points to keep track of. This sample point is supposed to get here, and then this sample point 6, 4 will become 6, negative 4. Okay, so we have negative 2, negative 4, negative 2, negative 4. See that? Same resulting graph by using the blue sequence. Now we hit submit button, see what happened. Awesome. Not quite right? No, that's right.